All right, guys, if you haven't already noticed, well, you wouldn't have noticed, but we're in the States. That was kind of the news. We're in the States. We're here for a T-Pain event. It's first ever Nappy Boy automotive event. Back to the S13, everything's actually looking really good with the S13 as far as the bearing, whole bearing situation. Russ has cut open the oil filter. Everything looks really good there. Anyway, got a friend Nicky behind us here, this fella here. He's going to take us around the whole Delta Ops, and I guess what that means is we're going to see a bunch of jet engines and stuff. He's got high clearance, so we can go see a bunch of really cool places, jump on some planes, look at some insane stuff. So I'll take you guys along for the ride.
So, these engines right here are operating 747s, 767s, and the 11s, these 10s.
So are these big ones or?
Big aircraft, right?
Yeah.
747s, you have 4 of these engines in each aircraft.
Love how cute wifey looks. Look like. All right, look at me, nerded up. This is actually insane. Can you stand closer to it, Tiana, for size reference?
I don't think I can go past the red line.
Oh yeah, no, you
How
can.
can she go?
You're allowed to go around.
Okay.
We'll go around.
For size reference. That's wild.
Well, this is the mid-size engine side.
This is mid-size.
We're gonna go to the bigger ones later.
This reminds me of when I was a kid in school and you used to put the marker on the fans as it was spinning to do the spiral. Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Look
actually
at all
serves
the-
a lot of purposes.
Oh, really?
The paint, what I've been told is essentially is it actually allows the pilot to see if the thing is spinning. If the spinner
Of course.
is spinning. That's one of the biggest things. Yep.
Are these galvanized steel? Is that just
It's
galvanized
actually-
steel or?
It's titanium. So
Oh, it is titanium.
Yeah, right. So this is titanium. You're gonna find interesting that this is 1970s technology. It's actually a very old engine, but in the aerospace industry, things evolve a lot slower than the electronics of the cell phones or
Yeah.
any of those devices, right? So what you see here is an engine that has operated for quite a bit.
But
It
if it's
is-
broke, don't fix it.
Correct. So what we're doing is we're fixing it, right? There's probably a level of work scope that we're doing to it. Maybe we're gonna replace a lot of parts. Maybe we're gonna repair some of them. Cost. Since we talk about cost sometimes, some of these repairs will range between maybe a couple $100,000, and it can go into tens of millions. Well, in this case, this engine can go up to $7, $8, $10 million. Essentially, how expensive these things are. So we talk about traveling, right? Traveling is
Yeah.
expensive. Well, this is what some of the maintenance itself could be saved.
Loving all these charge pipes and everything up here. Just looks so freaking cool.
Right. So, remember talking, so these are the guts of the engine itself.
Just looks like
Parts that have been
turbo-ish.
built. As in you're gonna see even more internals in there.
Yeah.
And if you notice,
So what were you saying? It's wild.
this is called the HPC, a high pressure compressor out of an engine built by GE called a CF6.
This is all titanium as well?
It is a mix of titanium and high strength alloys,
Yeah.
which could be either Inconel
Yep.
and titanium as well. So high nickel content super alloys.
Yeah.
They have to be able to withstand temperature and also a lot of strength.
I've heard of the Inconel.
Yep. I'll tell you more in a minute.
This is just insane. This is cooler than NASA.
Stage 2 HPT blades are actually being weighted.
Oh, this one's
thing-
almost lighter than the other one.
Oh yeah. That's actually a blade that goes in stage 2 of the HPT. This one right here. Let me show you.
Is it?
It's probably about the same as the other one, and the other one was stage 9.
Well,
I
the
think
other one
the
that you
smaller one.
saw is a compressor blade. The compressor
Okay.
said this one takes heat. So
Okay.
this one right here, you go pump cold air in here and cools it off so that way it doesn't melt. That's a stage 2. This is a stage 1. Stage 1 goes in front. Now, careful with this thing.
Okay.
It's $20,000.
Oh my god.
So,
Take it off
Is
me.
that a whole one or?
yes, there's holes in here because you
No,
pump
like
air.
this end here. So that's
Yes, hollow
complete.
too. So you have holes, cooling holes. So this thing right here, you pump air into here, and it cools the stagnation point, which is the front end of it, which is the hotter section of the engine, and then the back
yeah.
end too.
20
And it's
grand.
also thermal coating. So there's a thermal coating in here that actually allows it to run at higher temperatures, even sometimes than the melting point of the bare material. Now these things right here, when they fail, if they ever fail, they cause a lot of catastrophic damage.
Okay.
They can destroy the engine. So,
Okay.
Okay, so this stays in, otherwise the plane goes down.
well, not necessarily.
That's wild.
20 grand.
Yeah.
That's
And
20,000 US as well.
And there's literally a table there with like 100 on it.
Far
So
out.
you just saw over close to about $2 million worth of equipment here.
Oh my god.
That's
And here the funnest bit is I'm actually learning way more than I expected to learn. There's a lot about, I guess, jet engines that I didn't know, which is blowing my mind. The fact that
Relate it to cars, that's why.
I try and relate everything to cars, but we're trying to, I'm trying to get my head around it. But essentially, what I didn't know is a rocket essentially is in the middle, which turns propellers, which then runs a shaft, which then runs to the front of your the main propeller, I guess, that we see, or impeller, or whatever they want to call it. But
yeah.
yeah.
That is the turbine right there. High pressure turbine. Remember I told you this section right here, the blade that I showed you is $20,000. We have sitting here $1.5 million worth of parts, and these things have life limits. So after a certain amount of cycles, we just scrap it.
Yeah.
Scrap them.
Scrap it or make a table.
Scrap them.
We can make a table or a light.
I'd like $1 million table. That'd be nice.
We used to. These things are made out of Inconel. High strength
Oh, it's
material.
Inconel.
So this thing is Inconel. It's a high nickel content alloy. It's a super alloy, which is temperature resistant and also strength. It's very strong. It's very heavy though.
All the fancy supercar exhausts now, the aftermarket ones, are made out of Inconel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And titanium, of course.
I watched DDE. Can you show me that again? Because that's cool.
Sure. This is called a VSV, variable stator vane, and essentially the accelerator on your jet engine, right? So it's hydraulically actuated, and every time it moves back and forth, it actually allows the air flow.
And essentially, guys, that's just moving fins.
Yep.
But there's fins, and then in between each one of those is more fins.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what it does, it helps compress the air, and then it goes into the combustion chamber to then generate heat and also mechanical power. That's how it's actually works.
She's wild.
Here you're gonna see a combination. This test cell facility has 2 test cells, and it's rated up to 80,000 pounds of thrust. So the biggest engine that we can actually test here is out of a 767 or a 747. When we go into the larger engines, we're gonna go to the larger facility. Here they put this belt mounting here, represents the inlet cowl of the engine, and then you have the fan in there. When this thing gets hang on top of the test cell facility, you start doing a braking process for bearings, for seals, test vibration, consumption, as well as thrust production, right? Once we verify the engine is in good shape, we return it to service, and it goes back to either a customer or to the operation.
Yeah, this is the bit where you don't want to go here when it's going.
Yeah.
This is insane.
You look at your left, it's a smaller engine too. It's actually the 34 that actually operates in a smaller engine. And then we have a larger engine out there.
Oh, that's a big mama. Let's go have a look at this with need you for size reference.
You can almost walk under it.
Jesus Christ. That's it's a big boy.
Wow.
We're gonna get you into even a bigger one in a minute.
Oh my god.
The bigger was hilarious.
So this is a newer engine.
So this is a newer design engine. This is called a gear turbofan. It does actually have a reduction gear in front. It looks like a planetary gear. What it does, it reduces the amount of RPMs necessary to rotate the fan. Now, the lower the speeds are in the fan, the lower the sound and the noise is.
Ah.
So you rotate them at lower speeds. When you rotate your core at higher speeds, you get more efficient at consuming fuel. It reduces your consumption and it flies at the same rate of speed. When you reduce the speed of the fan, you reduce the sound of the actual aircraft.
Yeah.
So when it's flying around, it seems almost like it's quiet.
And that's a bigger, it's a much bigger blade as well, isn't it?
It is. The cord is wider. It's a wider. It's a better, more 3D design. As a matter of fact, these things are made out of aluminum with a titanium leading edge. Makes it a little stronger. Some designs actually have carbon fiber. I'll show you later.
Oh, cool.
But essentially, these ones are aluminum with leading edge. And if you see it in here too, is the intake of the engine itself is that little section. So the rest of the air that goes around the engine is called bypass because it bypasses the engine itself, right? And in the core, you have the middle section.
So even though they're a jet aeroplane, like at the end of the day, they're sort of essentially a propeller.
It's a big
driven
fan, correct?
Yeah.
It's essentially a big.
So
fan.
this is still just a prop, essentially.
Essentially, it's a prop.
Well, it's been driven by a shaft, right?
Correct, but
So
it's a prop. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a piston prop, but it's powered by a jet engine.
Yeah.
Right. But what it is a high bypass ratio engine.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the thrust get generated by the fan / the propeller, and it goes around it.
Yeah, but then it's still propelled from the thrust as well.
You do have a ratio of thrust also that is utilized to propel the aircraft itself. So in essence, just for the sake of discussion, is 80% of the thrust that is generated by the engine is around the bypass, and then the other 20% is out of the exhaust, which is essentially your jet stream.
All right, because I'm reading this as it's basically a prop plane.
And steroids. Remember the adapter? What they're gonna do? They're gonna attach it on the roof of the building, and then they're gonna do a lot of connections for air, fuel, electronics. They're gonna close the doors, and then they're gonna run the engine at full power to make sure it produces power. Doesn't have vibrations. Doesn't have the oil consumption as well.
It's a big dyno room.
It's a big dyno room.
Exactly. This is 80,000 pounds of thrust. I like to say I don't know what the conversion is. Maybe 200,000 horsepower. Or something.
Where are they shooting? Is it just shooting it straight up, essentially?
Bunch of steps in there.
It's a big exhaust.
So that's the exhaust, correct? So that's the air, all the air that is getting powered by the engine is going through the back, and there's a diffuser. So it's going to slow the air down, and then it's going to shoot it up on top of this building. The intake is right here. So this test facility is breathing out of the roof of this room. The air is coming this way, and then it's going to exhaust out of the back up in the air. So we're in the quiet area, and that's the exhaust where the noisy is.
So insane. Like, my BMX head is looking at that full pipe down there and being like, if I had a BMX here, I could definitely ride that, for one, but...
So this platform right here will come up, and the operator will be able to service the engine, and when they're ready to test, they lower it, and they can test the engine at full power. So he's actually operating the crane with manual remote control. So
That's wild. I feel like this is scary. This flapping. This is gonna
but this door is closed.
into the engine.
Yeah.
Oh, that closes. Okay. So of course it is. I knew that. Well, look at the seals on the thing. Look at the seals to close it.
Oh, and they actually have bolts that go on the floor too. If you notice, there's big spikes that go on the bottom.
Yeah, I can imagine the suction
And
would be
on top.
wild.
Yeah, so, yep.
Holy crap.
Remember, these engines are
And then it looks like there's,
There's veins in there. There's actually veins that redirect the air. Those veins right there, what they do also, they serve to reduce the amount of sound. So they have acoustic panels that reduce the amount of sound. Otherwise, this place will be very loud, but it's not because they have acoustic systems. Then this screen right here also works for making sure birds or anything doesn't get ingested. And also what it does, it helps the air stream gets into one direction. So it actually mimics as if the plane was flying up in the air.
so with it being a wind tunnel as such, do they use any smoke or anything like that to see what it's doing?
We're a repair facility, we're not a developing facility.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's when they develop the jet engines, yes, they put sometimes smoke to be able to see what the air is doing around the engine. Correct. So
Sick.
this is one of the tests. A test cell will be kept.
So how's this? The door slots into these holes here. Holes up on the roof as well.
That's a
And
closed
slots
one.
in. Pardon?
So that's
Oh,
what
so there's
that
another
looks
one
like,
behind
yeah.
there. I'm just looking at the way they're like,
Oh,
That's
there's
gnarly.
spikes that go under on upstairs, and then they lock the doors, and they have these big hinges.
That's
Otherwise,
gnarly.
they'll be sucked in because the amount of thrust these engines produce, they will suck the doors in if they're not secure.
It's like something out of a movie.
wish you sucked like that. Alright, it's about to close up. The kind of cool thing I want to hear and see is the rams all closing, I guess. Hectic.
It's all locked in place. They already put the pistons in there.
All right, run bigger engines now. Much bigger.
So these are large engines.
Large. These are not huge. These are just large. These are the large ones. Jesus. That is insane. Wild. Yeah, right. These are quite a bit bigger.
So this engine shop used to be a hangar for aircraft. So we used to do aircraft maintenance in here. And a few years back, we actually
Look at the little baby one.
we had a joint venture with one of the manufacturers, and with their help, we built this engine shop.
Yeah.
So we closed the doors to the hangar and we turned it into an engine shop. So we built another building within this building, and we turned it into an engine shop. These doors used to open from side to side. This is a Delta engine you find.
T.
This is an XWB. This is the engine that powers the A350.
A350.
Correct. So this plane can fly all the way from here all the way to Johannesburg in one shot.
Yeah.
So we use these planes for very long ranges, right? We use it
How long
also
does
for
that
the
fly?
Asian market. The Johannesburg is anywhere on the way there. If we have tailwinds, it takes us about 14 hours.
Oh,
On the
so
way-
it's only a little flight.
on the
That's
way
fine.
back it's almost 16.
That's-
So it's actually longer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's longer.
Sydney to Dallas was 15 and a half.
Yeah, that's what we flew here.
It's because of the air. You have like no swing or something. Yeah, it takes a little.
And then you can go, I think, Brisbane to London, which is 21.
It's not.
I think that's the longest flight in the world.
Correct. So we do not operate the longest flight in
Yeah.
the world, but we operate a very long one, which is our Atlanta to Johannesburg, South
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Very long. So
Wild. That's a
this is a
big,
big
big
engine.
boy. Big boy.
This engine.
This is the
produces-
T88 of
Right. And then the intake of the engine is right there. That section right there. So it's
That's the
section
smaller
right there is
section.
essentially where the engine is breathing in,
And
and
each-
the rest is the fan.
Each one of these blades are how much?
They're very expensive. They're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a piece.
Each blade.
Each blade. Yep.
So if
There's-
you see sparks at night, little sparks, we shouldn't be worried
Fine.
because
These sparks
because that's normal.
Yeah, because the
Huh?
blades are actually getting very close to
Yeah.
them. Yep.
So it's normal for them, like you might see some sparks at night, little sparks.
Yep.
So that's normal, guys. So don't freak out. If there's big sparks, be concerned.
But what's kind of
Back end
cool
of
is
the
this
engine is
is essentially what propels it, and then that there is what it goes through to the actual jet engine itself.
Is he allowed to film the one in the box? The new one?
Yeah, that's a new one.
See who makes them? And show everyone who makes them?
Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce.
That's not a good thing.
They
It means it's going to devalue quickly.
They obviously do planes better than cars.
Dime bags, baby.
Sitting facing the north, and there's also 3 runways on the south end of the airport. Takeoffs is kind of right in the middle, as well as the terminal.
How many did you say? 100 million a year
100 million passengers a year at least. That's what we serve in this airport.
out of Atlanta.
Correct?
Crazy.
You see some landers?
And you said every 30 seconds a plane's taking off or landing, or
Yeah, every 30 seconds you have a landing or a takeoff. We have 5 runways in here. We have 2 in the north, 3 on the back, on the south end of it. And typically the outer sections of the airport runways are the ones for landing, and the takeoff are here in the closer to the terminals. So if you see them up in the air, you have several of them lined up in miles. And there's also some of them.
oh well, there's another one coming down now.
Yeah, and then there's
And
one
there's
behind that.
and there should be another one behind. There's even a dot all the way in the back. So
Yeah, right. So it's just constantly planes pumping in.
There's one landing there. And then of course, you have a lot of. You have 2 big ones. All right, so this is a 767-100. It's a big plane. It's used for international flying.
Yeah.
Very long missions. These ones can fly to South America and Europe. This guy right here is a 330-300. We'll fly these guys all the way to Asia. We'll fly them to Europe as well as South America. They're in various types of. Delta Airlines has over 1,400 aircraft. We're the third largest aircraft, is on the north side.
Yeah.
The inside of it is for them to take off. The outside is for landing. Same in the south. The south we have to landing.
Yeah.
Now, if this plane, you can also right there. Right there. In the event that you have to do an emergency landing and the plane is too heavy, you have to release the fuel up in the air.
Yeah.
That's how you get lighter, so you can land on. Not over.
It's also where the chemtrails come from. Say multi-disc, like one disc on each wheel, or multiple
there's
discs?
multiple discs. It's a stack. I'll show you later what a stack looks like. But essentially, if I have several pistons and a calipers, this caliper has multiple. The hydraulic as well.
Oh, they're all pistons.
Those
for the
are
brakes.
pistons that press into the discs.
Oh. Okay. That's
hydraulic
wild.
as well. So ABS and carbon brakes were invented in the aerospace industry before they went into automotive.
Oh, so the plane's got ABS.
The plane has ABS and also carbon brakes. That's correct.
Carbon.
Carbon.
Oh,
You're
they're,
gonna see some fancy.
they're expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Very.
So when you take off and these things retract, they get tucked in there and the door closes.
This is where some people smuggle.
They'll crush you if you try to smuggle in there. There's not much space to control it. So,
Some people have tried, obviously,
yeah,
so
yeah, they don't make it through.
that's insane.
Oh my god, it's shaking.
What are you worried about?
I wonder about it when we go through the terminal.
When you go in.
Are we moving? Oh, the door's freaking opening. No, what's moving? Oh, it's the door. God damn it, it was freaking me out.
The first class passenger area is where you can lay flat. This is the new configuration. We just retrofitted this aircraft to have.
To the cockpit, honey.
And when you one at a time. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be the. I always forget which one. That's the co-pilot. Is the pilot. We're gonna be a co-pilot. The way you do it is, rub your stuff in there.
It's very trippy with that door opening.
This is
isn't it?
electronic.
I know, that door opening's freaking me out.
Oh, okay.
You're a co-pilot.
Not wild.
Don't pull anything. So when you turn the joystick, it actually makes the plane roll.
Yeah.
When you pull, it makes it go up and down, pitch. And if you do the rotors, it makes it yaw. And if you press your toes, the plane slows down. Your engines are these two right here. So grab it, you just raise your hand in there as if you were flying. Now you look back.
Dave?
I don't want to touch anything. It's all scary.
That's fine,
right?
it's all
Alright, get out. Not a pilot anymore.
I feel like I'm on like
You're good.
landmine
You're good.
field.
You're okay. They're robust enough.
Oh,
And don't
touch
forget
the
you have
wrong
your purse.
thing.
So it's a newer one?
No, it's
Oh,
old.
older.
It's actually an older aircraft.
It definitely looks older.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it has.
It's amazing how like almost ghetto it looks, and then oh no, it kind of looks older in here as well.
This is probably a.
So we're now in the paint booth.
Yeah, everyone would have played this for an aeroplane inside. This is it.
Like the camera doesn't do it any justice at all. Like we could you could top a second in here, have a session.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Those platforms come all the
you probably
way
could have fit Archie in here.
Yeah. Oh, like the whole land. Yeah. So it goes around there too.
Insane.
up. Those doors open all the way.
So it's funny, we're probably 5 minutes away from this place and I could smell it. You know the drifters are around when, you know, you're 5 minutes away from getting to a room and we can smell the rubber.
And there's
Sick.
There's a snap-on sign on the board as well, which is funny.
Where we assemble the wheels and tires. So this area right here is where we assemble the wheels, the hubs, and the tires, right? So the
Oh, so they're a
wheels,
split rim.
yeah,
Okay.
they come in, and it's actually an O-ring in the middle. So when they join and we torque them, then that keeps the seal, right?
Yeah.
And then they actually get pumped. They're no balance, and they're actually filled with nitrogen.
So like an old Land Cruiser.
So This robotic system, when it does, it will do final torque in one shot.
Yeah.
And they do crisscross because there's a lot of bolts, right? So, and if you cross it when it works, it stops. So here you will see that's how the system works. If the system torques the nut and it doesn't accomplish the torque, it will stop and it will tell the operator to come back and address that issue before it continues.
Yeah.
So you have to do something beforehand. And then of course the tire stacks at the back.
It's insane. And they pump them up in here because they can explode.
Yeah.
I've been really interested for this part. These are the brakes. This is a gnarly, dude.
So the way it works is you have several rotors, right? The rotors are spinning, and then these things are fixed to the wheel itself, right? So these right here are fixed on the hub, and then these ones rotate on the wheel itself. So when they're rotating, these pistons apply pressure.
So it's like a 10 piston.
It's a 10 piston with multiple rotors.
And
So
who
you
are they,
have one,
are they made
two,
by
three,
Brembo or
four,
something?
5. I'm sorry?
Who are they made by?
Let's see.
They Bendix?
Honeywell.
Bendix. Does that say Bendix?
Bendix and also Honeywell here.
Honeywell. Okay.
And this is how you know, from the outside, this is how you measure your brake pad left over.
Okay.
So these things will, this bar will go all the way down as it wears out.
Oh, so that's the amount of pad?
Well,
No.
the pad is a combination of everything. So you have this much pad left over before you have to replace it.
No way.
And these pistons will push all the way through. So they
That's
do wear out.
insane.
But these things are fixed to the wheel. You notice it has plastic hats, metal hats, because of the softness of the composite. And this is how
And these are all carbon.
these are all
Carbon
these are all
discs.
carbon rotors, carbon
Oh,
discs,
yeah.
carbon brakes. Yep.
So dare I ask how much a carbon rotor for an airplane is?
I don't know, but they're expensive.
So it's like 20 grand for a car. So I can't even imagine how much
Expensive.
these brakes are.
They
Like,
withstand a lot of temperature too, right? You see
that's
them
insane.
they come off and they burn out. And it's they withstand a lot of
Oh, this is all big boys. This is insane.
This is
Tiana, we need you for a size reference again.
Okay.
Just, that's wild. Jesus, and there's how many in here? And these engines, these engines are worth how much again?
they're worth over $20 million a piece.
Amazing. All right, cool. I just want to say thanks here, guys. Big thank you to taking us around and showing us everything. I really appreciate it. You're going to be drifting at the Nappy Boy event?
That's right.
All right, cool.
I'll see you guys
Tiana?
Saturday.
Hands down, one of the coolest things I've ever done.
I actually believe 100% it was more interesting than NASA. And it's crazy, like Delta Airlines, it's cleaner and like nicer and everything, way better than NASA was.
Yeah, oh, 100%. It just seems like an actual running show
Yeah.
as opposed to just maybe something staged for the public.
Yeah, NASA was a weird one. It was filthy. It's hard to explain. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks heaps for watching. See you guys in the next one.